Hi guys, my name is Ankit Joshi. I have 8+ years of experience in Microsoft.NET technologies, and from last 5+ years I have been working in Sitecore. So I started with Sitecore 6, and then basically journey continued with Sitecore 7, 8, and so on. Just to give you a bit more about me, I'm a Sitecore certified developer, and really happy to share it with you that this year I've been awarded with Sitecore MVP title as well under MVP tracks. So thanks for all your support. Uh, I'm a Sitecore blogger as well, so you can see all my Sitecore related blogs under ankitjoshi2409.wordpress.com. Again, details on which I will be sharing with you shortly after this video. So basically the question comes like why exactly I'm starting with this video series, right? Because already if you see Sitecore has already been provided like several channels like where like developers can come together and can share their thoughts, share their issues, can resolve and can collaborate and all those things, right? So which includes like Slack, right? And we have Sitecore Stack Exchange as well. Then we have Sitecore community like community.sitecore.net. So there are different channels where like developers from uh, different zones can come together and can collaborate and discuss ideas, right? So basically my idea behind starting this video series is like I can extend and can share my knowledge with the community and express it in a much better way, right? So that is what the whole idea, because to extend and express my thoughts, right? So as part of because from today I'm going to start it, so I'll look forward for all your support and feedback so that I can be of more help, and then I can contribute in a much better way, right? So thanks in advance for all your help. Uh, I'll be I'll appreciate all your guys' help for any feedback, any comments you guys have for me. Uh, I'll really appreciate it, right? So just to start, I'll be starting with the Unicorn, a very basic setup installation in your local environment. I hope like most of you guys will have like knowledge on Unicorn, what is this all about, why to use and all that thing, right? So I'm not going to more details about the theoretical concept of Unicorn and why it is used, but this this will be like more focused into like um, showing you like how basically we can get started with it, how we can install it, and then how basically we can create, how we can uh, uh, perform several other operations which Unicorn has provided, like sync, reserialize. What are the use cases like wherein like we should go for reserialize and why when we should go for sync operation, right? So those are the things which we'll be going through. But on a very high level, if you see, based on like unicorn.camsa.net, Unicorn is all about like basically to solve the issue of moving templates and rendering, right? And any Sitecore items you have there. So Unicorn is basically a simplified deployment of to basically simplify the deployment of your Sitecore items and across different environment, right? So it can be local to local, it can be from local environment to any other upper environment like integration, staging, UAT and all that, right? So Unicorn is all about helping you basically to make sure your all environments are always in sync from Sitecore item perspective, right? So this helps developers who actually works remotely in a way that they always can make sure that they're always working in a latest version, right? And then because there is a high chance when you're working on a shared database, there is a high chance that developers can override some of your changes by mistake, right? It's nothing has been intentional, but by mistake maybe they can override some of your changes which you are working on. So just to make sure like we can prevent all these type of issues, we have Unicorn in place. So Unicorn is a tool to serialize items and then store those items in your file system, and then you can push all those files just like your regular code files, your class file, your views, your fonts and all that thing. You can um, store those items in any of the in source control systems like TFS, SVN, or any other gate, right? You take any of the source control, you can store the information, and your fellow colleagues can take letters from your source control and sync all the information in the local environment. So it's not like they are not dependent on a common shared server. Sometimes which we may there are certain scenario where like you will not get access to some of the database servers, right? So at that point of time, it is always better that you have those database in your local environment, and then you can play around with Unicorn to make sure like all the teams on the same has the latest file always, right? So that is the whole point of having going for this unicorn. So without going to more theoretical from here, let's see how we can integrate unicorn with your Sitecore solution. So as part of this demo, I already have one Sitecore vanilla solution up and running, Sitecore 8.2 update 4. So if we go here, let me just refresh it. Okay, so we have the Sitecore unicorn, and we have this as well up and running. So if we go to content editor, we don't have any customizations here, right? It is just the default thing which we have in place so far. Nothing has been added here. So the first step here is to integrate unicorn with your solution, right? So let's see the solution in detail now. So as part of this particular solution, there is nothing been added so far, right? It's just a simple solution which has just following Alex Habitat guidelines. We have configuration, we have feature, foundation, and project. So under foundation, we have just one project created called serialization, right? And under serialization also, you'll not find anything much so far, right? So what we have done is we have created app config folder and include folder as well. So basically the idea is to install Unicorn under sitecore.foundation.serialization project. Again, just to make it clear that so this naming convention for this specific project is not something that you always have to go for sitecore.foundation. It can be anything, right? It can be something like sample sitecore.foundation.serialization. The naming convention is completely up to you, but you just have to make sure that it is all uh, follows guidelines. Okay. uh, so next what we would do is let's install unicorn under sitecore.foundation.serialization. So in order to install it, what we have to do is go to manage NuGet packages and search for unicorn, right? So install and go to browse and search for unicorn. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we have this unicorn here, and if you see the latest stable version is 4.0.3, and it is always recommended that you always go for the latest version. uh, Click on install. So you just have to make sure everything is proper. You are selecting the right version here and click on install. So once you install it, it will try to capture all the information for you, that which project, which framework it is targeting, and then it will basically give you all the review changes, what exactly it is going to do. So in this case, it is trying to install all these projects, Ognify, Camsa.web console.2.0.0, and all different libraries, right? So once you review all these things, click on OK. Okay, so this will go for some time. Let's see. Okay, great. So now you can see the successfully installed Unicorn 4.0.3 to Sitecore Foundation serialization project, right? So now from this point, if we go to Sitecore .foundation.serialization, you can see we have the Unicorn folder created under include and a rainbow configuration file, which is part of your unicorn, right? So now what we are going to do is okay, so uh, as part of any configuration we do in unicorn, we have to basically create a configuration, right? So in this case, basically what we can do, we can leverage unicorn.config.default example, and we can rename it to just config, right? So that is one way of doing it. Or else what we can do, we can also create a specific configuration file, basically a patch file, where we can make all those updates. So that is what the process we will follow, right? Let me do one thing. Let me just add another folder where I can add my patch file. So let's do dot mm, foundation. Okay, so because this is under foundation, okay, and then under this what I'm going to do is let me add a configuration file here, and we call that configuration file as sitecore dot foundation dot serialization.config. Okay. Okay, so we have this configuration file, nothing has been added so far, it's just a configuration file for now. Okay, and another thing which you see under unicorn.config, which is something which I want to discuss with you. uh, so under configuration Sitecore unicorn, if you just scroll down, you will see a setting for target data store, right? So basically this target data store physical root path, something which controls where exactly your serialized items will be stored. Okay, so any configuration you define in your project, right? So let's say if you create one more project for which you need to serialize your items, right? So let's say content items, right? So if you don't define a specific target data source for your specific configuration file, right, for your specific configuration. So let's say there is a sitecore.foundation.serialization. Let's say if I'm creating a different feature project, right? Feature for article. So sitecore.feature.article. Let's take an example, right? And I want to store those article specific items separately, right? So what I need to do is I need to create a different target store for that specific configuration so that I can keep those things separate to make sure I follow. Basically I'm within the helix guideline. So in this case, if you see, let me show you the foundation. So what we have created here is we have foundation and then we have serialization. Code is something like where all your code files will go. Let's not focus on this one, and this serialization. So basically this serialization is something under this location only all your serialized items that are specific to your sitecore.foundation serialization project will be stored. And in case if you want to store your article feature related items separately, those items will be stored separately only when you have target data store separately defined for each configuration. Okay, so we'll just see how, we'll see later on like how basically we can define the physical root path for a specific configuration. uh, Okay, and then okay, so let's go to Sitecore now. We'll come to solution later on. So let's go to unique card, okay, and go to content editor. So as part of this demo, what we are actually going to do is let's create like template folder, right? So we'll create template folder for feature, we'll create it for foundation, and we'll create it for project. Okay, so let's do it. Click on insert template folder. Let's name it as feature. Okay, next is project. Okay, and yeah, and another important thing I just want to make a note here is for now, as a, like I'm not assigning any basically a specific icon for these folders, but it is always required, like basically it is always recommended that we define a specific icons for your different types of your contents, right? So that it can be easy to identify, right? So we created feature, we created project, and let's create foundation. Fine. So we have three different folders now created here, and let's see here under content, we don't have nothing much to see as of now. So we have three folders: feature, foundation, and project. What I want to do from here is I want to control all these items using unicorn, right? So that whatever three items I have created here, feature, foundation, and project, I can sync all these items, I can serialize it, I can sync it back, I can push these files into my source control, and then from there some of other developers from my team can basically grab the latest files from source control and then sync it back into their local instance so that they also get the same items in their local instance, right? So that is what the whole idea is. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we have to basically sync feature, foundation, and project. So let's go back to your solution, and then okay, so what I'm going to do is instead of doing any changes in the default configuration, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make all those configuration update as part of my separate patch file which I have already created, which means sitecore.foundation.serialization.config. Okay, so let's go to here and then copy the text first. So let me do it here. Let's finish this one. Let's finish Kincon. Let's Sitecore and then configuration. Okay. The next step would be under configurations, we have to define configuration section. So define configuration. Okay, we have to define name. So in this case, if I'm trying to create a configuration section for my site code.foundation.serialization project, it's better to give the same name there so that it can be easily identified in the unicorn control panel, right? So let me just copy this name and put it here. Got it? Fine. And then just give it a user-friendly description as well. What I'm going to do is, let's give it the same name, Sitecore Foundation serialization description. Okay, let's keep it simple for now. Oh, sorry. Got it. Fine. Let's close it. Okay, so we have configuration. Okay, and then you can also define the dependency here in case if this particular configuration has some dependency on some other modules, but for now we are not going to define any dependency. Right, so we have this configuration with the name and description populated. The next step would be to basically define a data store. So I just mentioned, right, just a few minutes back, that the configured target data store is something which basically controls that which location your serialized items will be stored, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this uh, tag and then just put it here, right? So target data store is copied to this physical root, which points to your data folder, unicorn folder, right? So instead of leveraging the same thing which comes by default, instead what I want is I want to store all my foundation, at least foundation related items under serialization folder here. So it means it will go to my foundation serialization and serialization project, right? So let's copy the path and put it here. So done. It means now any changes which I'll do to my site code or foundation or serialization uh, items, all those items will be serialized under this particular location. Okay. Next step would be, so now the next step is basically we need to define the predicates. So predicate is something which defines that what items you want to control, what items you want to serialize, right? It's not like that we can serialize everything. So if we have created a separate project for Sitecode Foundation serialization, it means we have a specific set of items which we want to control. So all those specific set of items you have to define under predicate type. Okay, so if we go here and then if we go to sorry, we have this predicate here defined, and go to a path and then put it here, right? So that is fine. Let's close it and then let's close it. Okay, so now we have this predicate section defined under which you can actually define what are the different section of your content tree you want to control under this specific configuration. So in this case, as I mentioned before, that I am going to control only templates, only 3 templates which basically have and that 2 is not a template, just a folder for now, right? So what I'll do is I'll basically define it with include, right? Include, and then okay, to make it more clear, let me just copy. Where is, oh, sorry, it is on default. Okay, let's copy this one here. Got it. So copy this, paste it. Okay, so what basically we have defined, let's give it a user friendly name. It's sitecode dot foundation, right, dot serialization dot templates dot feature, right? So this is what basically I'm going to control, and the path would be let's go to Sitecore again and then copy this path. Okay, so just paste it here. So now basically what we are doing, let's do it foundation, right? So what we are doing is include Sitecode foundation serialization templates and foundation from database master, and which comes under this particular path. Another thing which I want to do is I want to do the same thing for other 2 projects as well. So I'll do it for project, just copy project here, okay, and then do it for feature and copy feature here as well, right? So far what I have done is we have defined data store a specific location wherein like your foundation project and feature, these 3 specific items will be stored. Then we have also defined a predicate which defines the items which we want to control using unicorn. Okay. Another thing which I just want to make a note here is we have actually defined foundation under this path, which means any item which I add under foundation, feature or project folder will also get synced. But I don't want to do that. I just want to like map my feature, foundation and project item, right? Nothing under it. So in order to do it, what basically I have to do is I basically have to, sorry, let me just close it here. Okay, and then let me add exclude here, exclude children set to true. Okay, so which means it is not going to consider the children of foundation folder. Okay, so same thing we can do for other items as well. So let me just, and this one done, and click there. Okay, fine. So let me just align it properly. Okay, so let me also add uh, okay. Okay, so this is to make sure that this is the below setting is only for templates, and that too for foundation, project and feature, and only for those specific items, nothing, not even children as well. So how we are making sure that children are not getting synced uh, with this setting by adding an exclude children set to true. Got it? Okay, so next thing which we have to do is we have to deploy these changes to our website root. So in order to do that, let's build it one, and I already have a profile created there. So let me build first and let me publish it. Okay, so I already have a published profile created for that one, Sitecore.unicorn. Let me just publish it. So publish succeeded. Okay, let's go to Sitecore again and just refresh it. Wonderful. Okay, let's go to Sitecore. Okay, so meanwhile it is loading, I can I just want to give you an snapshot of things what we have done so far. Is we had this project sitecore.foundation.serialization. We have added a unicorn NuGet package here under this one. By going to manage NuGet packages, select the unicorn package from there, which will install unicorn folder and this unicorn rainbow.configuration files. We have not changed anything on the default configuration file. Instead, we have created a separate specific patch file which takes care of adding specific configuration file for your sitecore.foundation.serialization project, right? And then as part of this configuration file, what we have done, we have also defined a specific data source, a predicate with these three items, right? So that is what we have done so far, and then we have just built it and published it, and we are just waiting for it to come back, which is taking more time. Okay, it is back, right? Now let's go to content editor. It is taking a while. Okay, now Sitecore content tree is loaded, and if you go to templates, just click on feature. Great. Okay, so now we are seeing an error which says the physical root path of the SF tree is this is actually configured max space length is 110. Okay, so which means like the website location which we have defined when like from where uh, these YML files are generated, it is taking more than 110, which is already defined as part of the default configuration. So in case if you want to change it, maybe this is something we have to take care from day one, because in this case I think my solution, the project which I've created in a wrong location. Maybe I have to just move it up a little bit to maybe to some level, but that's fine. For now we have a workaround here. So we can go to rainbow.configuration file and can update the serialization folder max path length. Okay, so let's go to include and then go to rainbow.configuration language XML, and then you can, okay, so we can see here, let's make it 150 for now. Okay, save it and then great. This is great. Okay, let's publish it again, run it. So which means that we just have to make sure like our project is in the right location, which is not too lengthy, which makes us like give this issue. So there's something which you have to take care from day one when we're setting up the solution. But anyways, we have an workaround. And meanwhile, like I'll also share some of the reference URLs with you guys, like which you can actually go through, which are a great source when if you want to get started with Unicorn. So those URLs will definitely going to help you. I'll share in that. Let's wait for it first. Great. Let's go to content editor again and see if that helped or not. Okay, let's go to templates feature. Okay, great. We are not seeing that error now. Now, from here you can see we can see the indication that this particular item is being controlled by Unicorn. This item is controlled by Unicorn. Changes to this item will be written to the disk so that they can be shared with others. That's what we have been talking about. And then configuration is sitecore.foundation.serialization because that is what the name we have given there. And predicate component sitecode foundation serialization template feature, right? Because this is the predicate component for this particular item. Same thing for foundation and for project. Okay, so now we have seen so far is that all these items we can see that there is an indication that these all are three items are being controlled by Unicorn. But at this point of time, do you feel like we can someone else can take a like take it take the changes and can sync it in their local? No, right? Because we basically need to get the YML files for that. We can see it is being controlled by Unicorn, but still we need to have those YML files to share it with other developers, right? So let's go back to uh, this one here. Okay, uh, now what I'm going to do is, right, let's go to Unicorn, okay, and then go to unicorn.aspx. Okay, okay, so now this is the Unicorn dashboard, right? So far here you can basically see like all these three items have been controlled by Unicorn, and then to have those YML file, we basically need to run a sync, and from where you can run the thing, you have to go to the Unicorn control panel that you can access by slash unicorn your hostname slash unicorn.aspx, right? So but in this case, in our case, basically what we are seeing a warning which say like at least one configuration has not serialized any items yet. Unicorn cannot operate properly until this is complete, right? It means we cannot basically at this point of time we don't have any traces in our file system of any serialized items, right? So and we cannot run it unless and until we have basically we need to run it for the first time, right? So on top of it, then next time when we want to run a sync, it can do that. But without having those serialized items in your file system, we basically cannot run any sync. Right, so what we will do is, and basically in the same thing, before we run that serialization thing, we have this configuration sitecore.foundation.serialization, because that's what we have defined here, right? And that is what we have defined here, right? This one. Okay, and then predicate defines which items are included or excluded in unicorn. So that's what we have controlled, that we have included feature, foundation, and project folder item that comes under template item, right? So perform initial serialization of sitecore.foundation.serialization. Got it? So just click on that. Great. So Sitecore.foundation serialization is being reserialized, right? And then you can see all the message here that foundation project feature item has been serialized. Well, once this is done, you can return to the control panel. You return the control panel, and then you can see that you don't see those warnings again here, right? And now if you want to just double check it, go to your items here. See, now you can see under, because that's what we have given under data store location, locate a physical path, right? Because that is what the location we have defined here. So in this case, if you see, we have feature, foundation, and project, that is all coming from this location: feature, foundation, and project. And then let's see more under feature. If you see, we have an feature.yml file created. So this is something which we can check into our source control, and which other developers can take and then sync it back to their local sitecore instance. Let's take a look on the actual yml files. So in this case, if you see, we have an ID, okay, ID of the item which has been there. What is the parent ID, the template ID of that item, path where exactly the item is stored, and some of the other information like languages, version, fields, and other values, right? So, and the value means created by Sitecore HOC. So that is what the basic information we can see in all the YML files. Let's do one thing. Okay, so now we can see that we don't see that warning again. So we can again run the sync. But here, if you see, like 0 items modified, because we have those items in place now. So one more thing which I just want to show here is, let's go to unicorn.aspx file. Okay, now there are two options here. We have sync, and then we have a reserialize. So what are the basically the use cases when we should go for sync, and then what are the use cases when we should go for reserialize? So sync is something, you can see, like you already have items serialized in your file system, and then in case if you're making any updates to those existing items, you can just run a sync. So that's where we have to use sync. Reserialize something if you're making changes to your predicate types. Let's say if you're adding something, or if you're deleting something, right? Or if you're changing the location of some of your items which is being added to your predicate types. So if you're doing any such operation, you basically need to reserialize it, right? So in this case, basically what I want to do is, let's go through the sync operation first. So runs a synchronization operation which will sync serialized items into Sitecore. That's what it is going to do. The serialized state is merged into the database state, making addition, modification, and deletion as needed. Serialize, when what is reserialized? So this clears the serialized items and refills it with the items in the Sitecore database. This should be done if you add or remove items from your predicate after the initial serialization. So let's take an example. Let me refresh it again. Oh god, this is bad. Okay, let me go here, Sitecore. It's taking a while. Not sure what is happening here. Let's just give it few more seconds. So I just want to show you like what are the scenarios where like we should go for reserialize. So that is what I'm just trying to show you. Uh, I'm not sure what is going on here. It's taking really taking more time than expected. Okay, meanwhile, let's do one thing. Meanwhile it is loading, let me add some more things here. Okay, so this is what we have defined for templates. So in this case, if you see, we are actually trying to change the predicate here, right? So because in this case, under predicate, we initially defined a foundation, project, and feature, but now we are trying to add some more items to it, right? We are trying to add, let's say, media items, media library, right? I'll see what is wrong. Okay, so include name, what I can do, Sitecore foundation serialization dot media library, right? We should so this one, this one. This is really, this should come by this time. It has to be there. Okay. Meanwhile, Sitecore media library slash foundation, and then here we have media library, this one, and then this one. Okay, so what we have done, we have also added media library, uh, which we have added under foundation project and feature, which we have not created so far, which I'm going to create now, but we're just waiting for the site code to come. uh, okay, so it's come. Okay, great, it came now. So let's see. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm trying to create the same items again here, media folder, and just call it as feature. Let's call it again project. Okay, and then let's do it for foundation, right? So we created again the same set of folder which we created under templates, foundation, feature, and project. So far if you see here, it is not linked with unicorn because our changes what we have done here, it is not been deployed to our website root. So I was just trying to make sure that we have all the settings in place: Sitecore foundation, serialization, media library, foundation, project, and feature, feature, project, and foundation. right? So next step would be just to build it and publish it back to your root. Okay, once the publish is all succeeded, you can basically run it again, refresh it. It's gonna take more time now. So once this loads, I can show you what message we are seeing for all these three folder which we have created under media library, and if we need to run sync or if we need to run reserialize. Okay, let's go to content editor again. Meanwhile, let's see what else we have under serialization. So we have this template feature foundation project. So under template, we for templates we basically have the YML files already created. But if you go back to the feature for media library foundation and project which we have created for media library thing, we don't have those YML files still created, right? So let's go here, right, and then go to your media library, click on your feature, which now says that it is linked with your unicorn, but still we cannot share it with other developers so that they can sync in their environment. So in order to do it, we basically go to have to go to unicorn control panel, just refresh it. Okay, okay, now when we try to sync it, let's see if we get any error or what. Okay, so let's try to sync it. Okay, so when we're trying to sync it, what it is still giving an error, unable to resolve serialized items for include root path foundation for media library, basically because it is actually not been serialized so far, right? So before we sync anything, we need to make sure that the serialized items are all in there. So we are actually getting it for foundation, project and feature. So let's do one thing. Let's go back to this one and try to reserialize, right? So reserialize something. When we click on reserialize, great. So now clearing existing items from serialization files, and then it has actually reserialized all the items. So this is something which we have to do whenever we make any change to our predicate. So in this case, when we make any change to any of the predicate which we've already defined, not just this particular project or for any project which we define under project or feature, we need to make sure that we reserialize it. Okay. Okay, so we go to reserialize here, and then we can see now if we go back to control panel and then sync also, it is all in place, right? So it is all clean now. Wow. Let's go back to the file system and see if we have any specific serialized files created for media library. Then if you see, we have those created for media library folder as well, right? So for media library feature, we have feature. For foundation, we have foundation. And for media library project, we have project. So that is what we have to just make sure, right? So everything is in place. We are using version 4.0.3, right? So, and if you need some more information about documentation, you can actually see that control panel, and you can get basically a whole lot of documentation available from unicorn perspective. So pretty much that's it, guys, for this demo. I hope you have liked it. Please let me know your thoughts, your feedbacks, your comment. I really appreciate it. And in case if you guys want to discuss something new in any of the in coming session, please let me know your thoughts as well. Maybe we'll have those things included as part of our discussion. And thanks for watching it, and have a great day. Thank you.